Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu Krim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopi Janavallabhaya Swaha Hari Om Radhe Radhe Namaskar. So, आज जितना हो सके उतना इधर उधर जल्दी करके हमने यहाँ तक पहुँचा है भागवत। मुझे ये मत समझना कि भागवत सप्ताह हो गया फिर घर जाके अपना अपना काम हाँ ठीक है करो, मगर याद रखो कि क्या डिस्कस किया गया, क्या सोचा गया भागवत में। सॉरी, said that with some difficulty we have come to the last part of the Bhagavat, jumping a few chapters, of course, because I think if you sit the whole day, then maybe in 7 days. But while every chapter of the Bhagavat is significant, I would say that I have tried to take what is most important out of it and present it to you. Little more is there. So I said, go home. And as soon as you go home, don't forget the Bhagavatam. Start reading the Times of India. Or any other. Early morning, I have some advice. Before you open the newspaper and see people fighting with each other, in-house and out-house, and seeing the murders and the different things that have happened, the media thrives on that. First read one chapter of the Bhagavad. One. Very small, any chapter. Then read your newspapers, it's okay. Then you will have the Narayana Kavacha, which will protect you from falling into all this nonsense. And main lesson from the Bhagavad, you know it, we read it. Always don't forget that whatever the world may think or even your opinion may be about somebody, good or bad, remember that in the heart of all beings, there is the Supreme Being sitting there as Antaryami Narayana. So if somebody insults you, thinks that it is being activated by the Lord to wash things away from you. Well, if somebody breaks into your house and tries to carry your family away, or of course you have a right to defend yourself, understand, to be practical. But even the thief who comes and goes is also being activated for some reason which we don't know. So before we start, we have 2 chapters to go. I want to tell you a story. Well, any story of the Lord and the divine beings is Bhagavat, apart from this. So, a great person like Swami Vivekananda, being a close disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, at one point of time worshipped the Supreme Lord as Krishna in Madhura Bhava. Such a great person's closest disciple, who he himself declared, nor and will lead. At one point in his life, thought that he needs another guru. And nobody will believe this. He felt agitated due to various reasons. Also the suffering that happened after he passed away, his guru passed away. And he was thinking, I think I need at least an Upaguru, somebody to help me out at this stage. Thakur is not there. So he went to Ghazipur. In Ghazipur, there was a person who was called Pavahari Baba. Pavahari was called because people didn't know what he ate or when he ate, so they thought he ate only air, pav. So they called him Pavahari Baba. I'm sure he hardly ate anything, a little bit here and there. So Swamiji became very fond and very friendly with Pavahari Baba. He also liked him very much. Young sannyasin, with a shining face. And he knew who he was. He knew that he was a disciple of Thakur, very close to him. They didn't discuss anything about that, but he used to talk to him about various things. Now this Pavahari Baba was a soul which the Bhagavat has so well defined. He had only 3 possessions. Four. One was the asana he sat on. 2 was the kaupin that he wore. 3 was the brass kamandalu. And the 4th was a big brass spoon which he used to offer ghee for his yajna. Every morning he used to perform. These were all his possessions. So, there was a thief and he lived alone, under the earth almost. There was like a tunnel, and inside the tunnel there was a cave. And people wondered how he breathed inside that. He was a tall, thin man. And he lived there. So one day, the thief was watching for a long time. He used to bring out his kamandalu and the spoon, big one, it's a ladle actually, not a spoon, to wash. So every day he used to clean it. It used to be glistening. And take it inside. The thief was watching. He was ignorant of these things. He thought it must be gold. Gold kamandalu and gold ladle. He broke in one night through the tunnel. Took the kamandalu, was about to take the spoon when he woke up. When Baba woke up, this guy got scared, so he ran with the kamandalu. Came out and ran. Then he turned and looked. This Baba, who was running behind him, and he thought he is running behind me to beat me up. Because in his hand was that big ladle. And he was swinging it and running. He ran as swiftly as he could. But this man had long legs. He found that the distance is becoming shorter and shorter. Finally he thought, surely I'm going to get it. There is no escape. This thief was a puny little fellow. So he said, this is the end. So he put the kamandalu down, fell at his feet, held his feet and said, Baba, don't kill me, don't beat me up. I'm sorry, I'm so hungry, I had to. He said, who's going to beat you up? He said, I thought you took the kamandalu because it was with me. Thought you should also take the ladle because, then tomorrow again you will break in. Why? I came here to give you the ladle, not to beat you up. That was the ideal Bhagavat Bhakta. And so after many days, Swamiji plucked up the courage to ask him. She asked him, "Can you become my guru?" He hardly talked, very little. He said, "Come, I will take you to my shrine. You pray there and then you decide what to do." So he took him through the tunnel into the little sanctuary he had made inside. And there was a mantelpiece on which there was a deity. Swamiji looked at the deity and he said, "This is the God that I worship." Swamiji looked, it was a famous picture of Thakur singing like this. And he said, "You still want me to become your guru?" He said, "No." He said, "I got the message. I just said about this man who wanted to give the ladle to the guy who was running with the kamandal." Considering that he could have very easily smashed this guy up. Anyway, people will not understand. So there is one chapter which is Uddhava's grief, and he asks him, "Is it all over?" And Krishna says, "No, there are still Yadavas alive. When they also go, then it is over." And then gives Uddhava a lesson about sadhana, about life and how to live. Consider this the dream world, said Krishna. Several events take place when one dreams. When you wake up, it is gone in the same way. He said, life, therefore, in this chapter, Krishna defines and differentiates from the dreams by saying this is daydreaming, that is night dreaming. Then Uddhava asked Krishna, "Krishna, tell me, what bhaktis, after the whole, after having heard everything?" There's an example in the Upanishad. When the whole Upanishad is over about the Supreme Brahman, the disciple asks, "So sir, please teach me about the Brahman." Like that. The end of the Bhagavat, he says, "Please define bhakti to me. Tell me which type of a sadhu is dear to you. What are the qualities which are predominant in the mental makeup of a bhakta?" With a slight smile, Krishna said, "The man who is dear to me is sure to have several qualities in him. But to me, the most important of all these qualities is compassion. One who is full of compassion for the sufferings of others, he should not betray anyone's faith in him. He should be patient, truthful, at any cost, without envying anybody. He should be neither elated when happiness comes his way, nor should he sink in the depths of despondency when suffering visits him. He should help others as much as possible." You would have thought that Krishna defined bhakti by saying, "He is my greatest bhakta who sings my songs." No, not the Bhagavat. His senses should never carry him away from the path he has set for himself. His heart should be ready to melt at the sight of pain in others. On the other hand, when troubles visit him, he should be firm and unmoved. He should be clean in the sense that his principles should be blameless. He should have no desire. Naturally, he should never think of doing anything with a desire for reward. He should not overact, and his mind should ever be placid. Overact means not work too much, unnecessary, why waste time? It also means don't put on an act. He should never expect praise or honor from others, but he should not fail in his duty of paying respect to others. If he finds anyone genuinely interested in learning from him, genuinely, he should on no account withhold that knowledge. He should not deceive others and get involved in anything unless the motive is pure. When he is engaged in worshipping me, endowed as he is already with these qualities I have enumerated, he will in course of time be like the great Narada, and not in his gossiping, like Narada and others, and will not have to perform even his daily duties. He can spend all his time thinking on me. In fact, one way to say is that it's better to talk as less as possible. Because talking just wastes your energy and it creates problem for you and for others. I know some people like that. If I have to spread any message, media is not required, internet is not required. I have to just tell them, this is a secret between you and me, don't tell, finished. And you try after 5 minutes, the phone is totally engaged. You know what? Tick, 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 tick. Talk less. He would be like the great Narada and others, and will not have to perform even his daily duties. He can spend all his time thinking on me. Such a man will never assume the garb of a holy man. Nor will he talk about the good deeds he has done to help others. You know that disease, right? You give 100 rupees to somebody today, then by evening you have told 100 people how you gave the 100 rupees. So, Uddhava, you are my bhakta, and you are very dear to me. And so I will tell you the secret of secrets. The secret of winning my love, which is referred to as bhakti, devotion. Hatha yoga and pranayama do not win my heart as much as, not that it helps, but as much as the company of good men. Please include good women also. A knowledge of the great Sankhya, intellectual comprehensions of the teachings of Sankhya will not please me as much as bhakti will. Reciting the Vedas incessantly, tapas, sannyas, which is an apparent renunciation of worldly things, All these do not charm, nor all the many vratas and privations prescribed by wise men. I respond only to love and only love. Those who have reached me have done so out of pure affection to me. This devotion knows no caste or creed. I will recount to you the names of some of my devotees, bhaktas, Vritra, Prahlada, Bali. Now Prahlada all fine, but this Bali is an extraordinary person. Shukra is warning him, man, you don't know who is this guy, this little fellow. He says, I want the length of land where my 3 steps can be placed. This is the Lord. His 1 step will cover both the heaven, then where will you, 2 steps will cover this world and that world. Where will you give for the 3rd? Be careful. But he says, it's okay. I am a king and I have never not given anything to people who ask. And here is this shining faced little brahmachari with an umbrella. He looks so sweet. Let him take what he wants. It's easy. When the great Rishi Yajnavalkya used to hold his satsangs on the outskirts of the city of Videha, in the forest, all the rishis, everybody would come and sit down. But there was a front row in which 1 carpet asan was kept for the king of Videha, Janaka. So some of the students, rishis and so on, used to discuss, even this Yajnavalkya has some discrimination. This is because Janaka is the king that he has the front asana there and so on. Of course, Yajnavalkya did not respond to the criticism, he kept quiet. One day, a person came running and said, it's a big conflagration in Videha. Near the forest, everything is burning. So the rishis and so on, who were sitting in front, started running. One of them said, my cowpenis will get burned. Another fellow said, my kamandalu is left there. Another chap said, my book is there, I need to retrieve it. Finally, there was only 1 seat left, and Janaka is the king of Videha, mind you, his city. And he said, it's so quiet now, oh master. So what was that second thing we discussed? Then they all came back. And then he said, Yajnavalkya said, now you know why there is a front seat for Janaka, not because he is the king. Anyway, Vritra, Prahlada, Bali, names of the devotees, Vanasura, Maya, Vibhishana, Sugriva, Hanuman, Jambavan, Gajendra, the elephant, Jatayu, the eagle, Tuladhara, Dharmavyadha and Trivakra, the hunchback, and the gopis of Vrindavan, the Yajnapatnis and several others who have reached me with the power of the devotion. He said, some of them know no Vedas. What Vedas do the gopis know? They served no gurus in the Gurukulas with a thirst for knowledge. They observed no vratas, nor did they perform tapasya. because of sadhu satsanga. They let their minds dwell on me and they became mine. When the munis reach the samadhi state, they have no remembrance of even their names or their homes. Even so, the gopis remembered nothing except the time they spent with me when I was in their midst. They will reach me in the end. While they were looking at me, they were not looking at their cell phone, saying, anybody has taken money from my account. Their way of worship was to desire me physically, I understand. But this was my Maya. This seeming unfaithfulness to their men was not in any way different from bhakti anyone has for me. Uddhava, you should therefore abandon all thoughts of performing tapas. Don't waste your time. Do not waste time in considering the duties you have to perform. The grihastha life you have been leading, the sannyasa which you think you have to adopt, and the many other small duties prescribed by the Vedas, do not worry about any of them. Pray to me. Set your mind on me and try to find refuge at my feet. You will reach me. Now, after hearing this from the Lord himself, Uddhava is again confused. Uddhava said, Krishna, my mind is so. Don't think you have understood. Uddhava hasn't yet. Then, Uddhava was full of curiosity. He wanted to know when the form of a Hamsa was assumed by the Lord and for what purpose. So Krishna said, Brahma has 4 sons born of the mind. They are the Sanaka brothers, which are 4 in number. They once went to their father and asked him, which was the best yoga to be pursued? They asked, Lord, the mind of man is by nature always eager to follow the dictates of the emotions and indriya, which govern them. Kama, Krodha and other 4 feelings capture the intellect of man and eclipse it. Once the objects of the senses are enjoyed, these enter the mind of man in the form of vasanas. How then can a mumukshu, one desirous of freedom, separate these 2? How is one to withdraw the mind from the sense objects? Though he had been engaged in the work of creation, at the behest, though he was born to me, Brahma was still unable to answer this question. Why? Since he was also involved in karma in some form. He thought of me. Who? Brahma thought of me. And I went to his presence in the form of a Hamsa, a white swan. Hamsa. The Sanaka brothers prostrated before me along with Brahma and asked, who may you be? I said, when the Paramatman, the universal spirit, is known to be the only one and to be indivisible, how can your question arise? There is only one being, the Supreme Being. What do you mean, who am I? When the same Brahman dwells in every one of us, how can I differentiate and tell you who I am? Still I'll answer you. realize the truth that I am the Brahman, which should be realized by the mind, by the indriyas, by the words, by the eyes. There is nothing which is other than me. I understand the problem which you are asking your father. Mind gets involved with the senses, and senses hold sway over the mind. But remember, the mind, the gunas, all are manifestations of me only. You are asking your father for the method by which the mind can be withdrawn from the senses and the resultant vasana. I will tell you. It's very simple. Very simple. Abandon the feeling that the mind and the senses and the vasanas are other than me. If you realize this truth and give up your desire for sense objects, this is the best yoga. So everything that you do becomes part of the worship of the Lord. And very soon there is only the Lord and all other things fall away. Brahma arpanam, Brahma havir, Brahma agno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gandhavyam, Brahma karma samadhi. Even the act is Brahman. You are not doing anything. And so on. This is what the Hamsa taught Brahma and the Sanaka brothers. I taught this ultimate truth to the Sanaka brothers, and then I disappeared into the waters. Then Uddhava asked Krishna, "You are the Parabrahman. You are the cause of the creation as well as the destruction of this universe. You sustain it too. You have no beginning and you have no end. No avarana covers you. Tell me about your many Vibhutis. Tell me of the objects which are the objects of worship for those who are considered to be your bhaktas. I salute you and take the dust of your feet." Krishna's smile was full of reminiscence. He said, "Uddhava, on the battlefield by name Kurukshetra, I was asked the same question by Arjuna, the Pandava. He was sorely distressed. He was against killing his cousins. He told me that it was sinful to fight. He was sure that the war was against all codes of dharma. And he said, I am going away. I had to teach him the Brahma Vidya to get him to get rid of the delusion he was suffering from. The delusion that he was the killer and the doomed men were different from him. And that killing them would not make him a sinner because he was acting in accordance with dharma. I convinced him that he should not give up but fight against. When he realized that I am the Brahman, he asked me the same question that you asked me. I will tell you what I told him. What he told Arjuna in the battlefield, he says to Uddhava, I will tell you the same thing now. I am the soul of all living beings here in this world. I am also your cousin and your Lord. I am the cause of birth and death of all things. Among the gunas, I am the balance maintained by them. I am the supreme spirit out of which is manifested Prakriti. I am the Mahat Tattva. Among the mantras, I am Om, the Pranava. Among the letters, I am A, which is Akshara, indestructible. I am Gayatri among the Chandas. Chandasas. I am Indra among the gods, Agni among the Vasus, Vishnu among the Adityas and Mahadeva among the Rudras. I am Bhrigu among the Brahma Rishis. Among the Deva Rishis, I am Narada. I am also Kamadhenu, the wish-fulfilling cow. Among the Siddhas, I am Kapila. Among the Prajapatis, I am Daksha. Among the birds, I am Garuda. Among the Pitris, I am Aryama. Among the Daityas, I am Prahalada. Now everybody says Prahalada is a devotee of the Lord. Krishna says to Uddhava, among the Daityas, I am Prahalada. Could mean two things. One, that Prahalada, having reached the source, becomes one with. Or, in simpler form, people like us, it means the devotee like Prahalada is equal to the Lord. For us, I am Adishesha among the Nagas, and so on. Vasanta among the seasons, Margashisha among the months, and Abhijit among the stars. So in short, anything that is there in the world, there is nothing other than the Lord. This is the sum of the description that he gives to Uddhava. But Uddhava, these Vibhutis which I talked about, they are incidental. Do not spend much time or thought on it. If you want to reach me, here is a simple way to do it. Control your speech. Control your mind. Control your breath and control your senses. So, what is the key word here? Control. Cultivate sattva guna. Only thus can you reach me. Once you have mastered these, you will never again fall into the morass by name samsara. Without these, the performing of vritas and even tapasya will be like water escaping from a mud vessel which has not been burned properly in the fire. One who has chosen me as his savior will surrender his thoughts, his words, his very life to me, and he can be assured of becoming one with me. I'm going to read 290, which is the last description of bhakti by Bhagavan. And then we'll go to the Phalashruti. And then you'll go home and read the Bhagavatam. Hopefully. If you can't do it first thing in the morning, then do it second thing. Or third or fourth, but once. Once is enough, at least. Couple of things it will do. It will bring some humility in us. Definitely. It will make us less arrogant. It will slowly clean the heart till one day you will see it crystal clear. And then you will see the reflection of the Lord. Reflection is enough. You don't have to even try to become the soul and be one with the Lord. Long, tall order, but reflection. Some people, some devotees love that more than even becoming moksha and things like that. No fun in moksha actually. What is the fun? Guru Nanak Sahib said, I would rather be the bee that tastes the sugar than become the sugar. If you become the sugar, what will you taste? So, then after that, let the Lord decide. What you wants to merge, okay. Don't want to merge, keep separate. Who cares? One thing I tell you, your mind will settle down and things will happen. Don't have to go to the forest, don't have to shave your head, don't have to wear any robes. Be normal. Develop the qualities, that is the most important. So, Bhakti Yoga again and again. This is 290 section. Uddhava had been listening very carefully to the words of Krishna, who was explaining the different yogas to him. Krishna had also been explaining to him the methods of approach to the Brahmi state. He had spoken about Sankhya just now. I skipped it. And about creation. Krishna now told him about the end of creation. He said, I have told you that out of Prakriti is born Mahat, and this becomes the Aham Tattva. Out of this was born the five Tanmatras, and then came the Mahabhutas and the rest of the Christ. At the time when the end comes, the earth, the grossest of them all, gets lost in water. Water in fire, fire in air, and the air in ether, Akasha. The ether in the Tanmatras, they in Aham Tattva. This is the Mahat. Mahat becomes one with Prakriti, and Prakriti in turn becomes one with me, the Purusha again. Then there is only the Supreme Brahman, Sarvavyapi, pervading all. This, in short, is the beginning and the end of creation. In few words, Krishna was silent, and Uddhava, with unsatiable desire for knowledge, still asked, Krishna, I have heard you expound on the different yogas. I have been listening carefully, come to the conclusion that Jnana Yoga, which you have described, very difficult to practice unless man has his mind completely under control. I do not think I will ever be able to. Uddhava, after living with Krishna for so long, so close, admits, I do not think I will ever be able to take this, to bring everything under control. Even great yogis have found it immensely difficult and almost impossible to control the wayward mind. When there is a much easier path to you, why should I pursue the hard path? The wise have realized that by worshipping you and your blessed feet, they will be granted the wisdom to differentiate between what is true and what is false. Your bhaktas are never destroyed because they are never obsessed with ahankara. You know what is ahankara, right? Pride, arrogance, I. And it comes in different ways. We discussed all that. They never have any pride in their achievements since they ascribe it all to you and your mercy. Others, deluded by Maya, consider themselves to be great yogins. They think that they are skillful in their work and they allow pride to enter their hearts. Such people will not be able to approach you. You are a slave of your bhaktas. Bali the Asura monarch, Nanda Gopa, the king of the cowherds, and the gopis were ignorant. The ways of the world were all dear to you. They would think on you and only you incessantly. And they have accomplished what Brahma and Indra have not been able to do. When you were born as Rama, the monkeys were more dear to you than all the devas. When you are so easily pleased by mere bhakti, why should man strive up the difficult path of Jnana Yoga, so on and so forth? I consider myself to be your bhakta because you are ever in my thoughts and I love no one else but you. I am not eager to have any riches or any place in the heavens, nor for salvation. You are my Acharya, you are also the one who dwells inside me. Krishna smiled his beautiful smile and said, Uddhava, you are really dear to me, and I will now tell you once again the secret by which you can conquer death and the fear of death. One who desires to please me should think only of me. His mind and his thoughts should be only about me. His love for me should be constant. He should follow with love my ways of teaching, and he should act in such a manner that I will be pleased. He should follow the behavior of my bhaktas. Bhaktas like Narada, Prahlada or Dhruva. One is divine, one was an Asura child, and the third human was also a small child. My bhakta should worship me always. My friend Uddhava, have you learned the lessons well enough? Have all your doubts been cleared? Have you now shed the sorrow which you had before you came to me? As you are now free of all the delusions. One word of warning I have to give you. You shall not, on any account, teach this lesson to undeserving people. A pretender, an atheist, a deceiver, one who does not believe in yoga by name bhakti, and who is lacking in humility, these are whom I consider to be unfit to be taught this great lesson. Generally, when this lesson is being taught, such people don't come also. You should propagate this truth only among those who are rid of these qualities that I have mentioned. Do not grieve when I am gone. Don't go about in this world of men and teach dharma wherever you can. And so on. Uddhava stood with his palms folded, with his eyes red with tears. They were flowing fast, and he could not find his voice since it was choked with emotion. After a while, he controlled the sorrow which was threatening to fill his mind, and falling at Krishna's feet, placed his head on them and said, Krishna, my delusions are all gone because of your presence. How can fear of darkness frighten me in your presence when you shine like the sun? In your kindness you have lighted in my heart the lamp of wisdom. Please grant me that this love of mine for you, this bhakti I have for you, will never leave me and will be as firm as a rock in this weak and wavering heart of mine. Krishna smiled with infinite love in his eyes and said, Uddhava, proceed to the ashrama by name. proceed to the ashrama by name Badri, which is mine. Ganga flows there. Alakananda flows there. And the very sight of her will be enough to rid you of all your sins. Stay there, bathing in her waters. Live like a renunciant, with your thoughts set on me. After you have done all that I have asked you to do, you will reach me. Uddhava left his presence, but unwillingly. Steeped as he was in the lesson of jnana, still he could not leave Krishna. His mind said, all that is true, I will go to Badrika ashrama, but I have to leave you. He followed him to Prabhasa during the last hours of Krishna. Uddhava was there with Maitreya, who had also come there. Krishna once again spoke to them, and he returned to the glory that was his own. When the Lord went, dharma, purity, beauty and all that was good and great went with him. And Mother Earth was left lamenting. But one thing was left, the Bhagavatam. Saving grace. Now there is a thing on cosmology and Sankhya, Kapilas, and so on. So we don't have to. This is a good ending for the Bhagavad. You have 291, you have 292, you have 293. That's all. 3 more small chapters which may not interest you. How did Mahat come from this? How did the 24 tattvas come and so on from Sankhya? You can read it at leisure if you don't get confused. Now is the Phalashruti. Phalashruti means the fruit of what you have done. Eaten the fruit, what happens? Or rather the fruit that comes when you have read the Bhagavat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This mantra is enough to destroy all the many ills that was in man. Like the sun which dispels darkness, like the breeze which scatters dense clouds which have gathered in abundance in the poor blue sky. This mantra dispels the sorrows and ignorance in the mind of man. He who dwells on the stories of the Lord, even for a moment, or who relates the stories to others, who listens to the stories as often as he can, is assured of his Atman becoming cleansed and purified. No? One who studies the Bhagavata Purana on Ekadashi or Dwadashi will be absolved of all sins. You can also do it other times. The Bhagavata had been taught by the Lord Himself to Brahma, born of the lotus. Vairagya, which is detachment. Bhakti, which is devotion, form the main theme of the entire narration. Bhagavata is the quintessence of the Vedas. It is the pathway to the Brahman. It has no equal in the entire range of holy books. Even as Ganga is the best among the rivers. Not the Thames. Even as Ganga is the best among rivers, like Vishnu among the gods, even as Varanasi among the Punya Kshetras. People live in Varanasi but keep wandering away here and there. Holy cities, Varanasi among the holy cities. Even so, Bhagavat is the greatest among books. It is considered the greatest since it purifies. Why is it considered great? Because it purifies one of all sins. And the man who studies it with devotion will soon be rid of this painful bondage by name samsara. Bhagavat kindles in one bhakti for the Lord. Out of the bhakti is born vairagya. In vairagya leads to jnana, the realization of the self, which is called atma jnana. This is the use of the Bhagavat. This is the proof. So, read whenever you can. The truth is called the Brahman by the Upanishads, Paramatma or Ishvara by the Sankhyas, and Bhagavan by the Bhaktas. That truth can be realized by the study of the Bhagavata Purana. The light dispels the darkness called avidya. Salutations to him whom Brahma, Varuna, Indra, the Rudras and the Maruts praise with sacred hymns. They praise with the help of the Vedas and many branches of Vedas and Upanishads, whom the Samavedins praise with their musical recitations, whom the yogis are able to perceive by intense meditation and by training their minds steadily on Him, whom neither the Devas nor the Asuras are able to realize in His true form, which means humans can realize Him in His pure, real form, even if the Asuras and Devas are not able to see. The humans are, in the last line of the Bhagavat, praising human beings for being able to find what even Asuras and Devas cannot find, which is the Supreme Being, which is a great message of hope. And signal that don't waste your time. There are many people trees, then sit under one in the people grove and find the Lord. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gopika Jivanasmaranam Govinda Govinda Harinara.